Once upon a time, deep within an ancient forest filled with whispering trees and babbling brooks, there lived a cunning fox named Rico. Now, Rico wasn't the biggest or the strongest animal in the woods. In fact, when it came to size and strength, he was outclassed by many of his fellow creatures. There was Bruno the bear, whose massive paws could crush a boulder and send it tumbling down a hill. There was Gerald the giraffe, whose long neck allowed him to munch on the juiciest leaves at the top of the tallest trees. And then there was Olga the owl, whose sharp talons could catch fish in mid-flight and whose piercing gaze could spot a mouse from miles away. But despite being smaller than the rest, Rico was blessed with a sharp mind and a curious spirit. He was always eager to explore, to ask questions, and to learn about the world around him. And this trait often landed him in peculiar situations, some comical, some dangerous, and sometimes even life-threatening. However, Rico's quick thinking and innovative ideas always seemed to pull him through. His resourcefulness became a testament to his character, proving that brains could be just as powerful as brawn. One day in late spring, while the forest was carpeted in a mosaic of wildflowers, and the air was thick with the scent of blooming honeysuckle, Rico was strolling through the woods when he heard a frantic cry. Startled, Rico followed the sound to a clearing where he saw a group of animals huddled together, their faces etched with worry. As he drew closer, he heard the source of their distress. It was Millie the mouse. Her voice trembled as she explained that a sudden storm had washed away the wooden bridge that connected this part of the forest to the rest. Without it, the animals on her side couldn't get to the other side for food and water. The animals present were indeed in a quandary. Bruno the bear suggested they should just go around the river, but it would take so much time and energy that several of them might die of hunger or exhaustion before they got there. Gerald the giraffe offered to use his height to try and reach the other side, but upon closer inspection, they realized the river was simply too wide for even his long legs. Olga the owl suggested they should wait for the sun to dry up the river, but with heavy rain forecast for the coming days, that was not a viable option. The situation was dire, and it seemed as though the animals would have to resort to crossing the river, which was simply too dangerous. As the animals were racking their brains for a solution, Rico, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward. All eyes turned to him, surprised by his sudden move. Rico, though intimidated by the intensity of their gazes, stood his ground. Taking a deep breath, he shared his plan. He suggested they build a new bridge, one that would withstand any storm. The animals looked at him as if he had grown another head. Building a bridge was a huge task, one that seemed insurmountable given their limited resources and time. Rico, however, was undeterred. He proposed dividing the work among them based on their strengths. The strong animals like Bruno and Gerald could gather large branches and vines. The agile creatures like the squirrels and monkeys could collect smaller twigs and leaves. And the birds could fly back and forth, delivering small items that the others couldn't carry. But how would they keep the bridge afloat until it was strong enough to support their weight? Rico had a solution for that, too. He asked the beavers to cut sturdy logs from the riverbank, which they would use as supports for the bridge. These logs would serve as the foundation, allowing them to gradually build on top without worrying about it collapsing. The animals were still hesitant. They had never worked together on such a large project before, but they were running out of options. With no bridge and no clear path to the other side, they faced starvation, so they decided to give Rico's plan a try. The animals got to work immediately. The elephants used their tusks to uproot large branches and vines, creating makeshift pathways across the river. The beavers, with their strong teeth and knowledge of woodworking, quickly cut down and arranged the logs as the base of the bridge. The monkeys swung from branch to branch, gathering twigs and leaves, while the squirrels scurried up the trees, collecting dry grasses and vines to reinforce the structure. The woodpeckers flew back and forth, carrying small branches and leaves to fill in the gaps. And the birds, with their light, slender beaks, carried pebbles and dirt to weigh down the bridge and keep it steady. As the days passed, the bridge grew stronger and the animals' spirits lifted. Rico, with his boundless energy and enthusiasm, kept everyone motivated. He reminded them that their combined strength was greater than any individual's, that their differences were their strengths, and that unity and cooperation would see them through. The animals, inspired by Rico's words, worked harder and more diligently. They celebrated small victories, each log placed, every vine secured, every branch set in position. Their collective effort was a sight to behold, a testament to their unity and determination. Then one morning, as the animals were getting ready to start another day of work, a loud clap of thunder echoed through the forest, followed by heavy raindrops that lashed against the leaves. Soon the forest floor was flooded and the river overflowed its banks. Fear swept through the animals. Was all their hard work going to be washed away? Rico, however, was calm. He knew that the bridge they had built was sturdy. Yes, there were leaks here and there, but that was to be expected. The real test was now. Would the bridge hold? As the rain intensified, so did the animals worry. Then suddenly, a large branch from the nearby oak tree was uprooted and swept away by the current. It crashed into the bridge with a loud crack. All eyes were on the bridge, waiting for it to collapse. But it didn't. The bridge, though battered by the wind and rain, held firm. A cheer erupted from the animals. Their bridge had survived the storm. In the days that followed, the rain subsided, the sun returned, and the animals, filled with joy and gratitude, gathered at the edge of the river. They had done it. They had built a bridge that would now forever connect the two parts of the forest. As the animals took their first steps onto the new bridge, Rico felt a surge of pride. He may not have been the strongest or the biggest, but he had shown that with wit and cooperation, they had achieved something great. News of their accomplishments spread through the forest, reaching even the creatures who hadn't been directly involved. The animals who had doubted Rico's plan, including Bruno, the bear, and Olga, the owl, approached him, their faces filled with admiration. They apologized for not believing in him and his idea and thanked him for showing them the power of unity and intelligence. From that day on, Rico was looked at differently in the forest. His stature had grown not in physical size, but in the respect and admiration of his fellow animals. He had proven that it wasn't the size of the fox, but the size of his heart and his brain that truly mattered. And so, Rico, the little fox who was once underestimated because of his size, became a hero of the forest, a symbol of intelligence and teamwork, reminding everyone that it's not brute strength or power that conquers all, but sometimes a good plan and the unity to execute it.